You've come to this channel because you want to reduce your weight, or worded differently, you want to burn fat. So how do we actually burn fat? What's the process? Well, fat's stored as triglycerides, and we're going to look at how triglycerides are broken down and converted into energy. It's a process known as lipolysis, and within lipolysis, the fat is broken down into glycerol using an enzyme called lipase, and that splits the bonds between the fat, or fatty acids, and the glycerol. It's these fatty acids that we want to transfer through the blood to the chosen cells and convert them into energy. For example, let's say we're exercising our legs and we want to have energy in our legs. Now we'll have a certain amount of carb already stored as glycogen in the muscle, and once we've exercised beyond a certain period, the glycogen store will run down and need replenishing. So the fatty acids are transported, say, from the tummy to the legs in the blood, and they're carried on a protein called serum albumin. Now, as you remember in basic biology, ATP is the fuel source that is required in the cell itself, or the legs. So the body uses a process known as beta oxidation to convert the fatty acids, into this ATP. Now, whilst the above is a simplification and a much more complex process is going on, if you understand the basic physiology involved, you can begin to look at how we can speed up that process. Now, we started by saying that lipolysis starts the reaction. So logically, we're going to want to know what we can do to speed up lipolysis. Now, the stress hormones, plus human growth hormone, and a hormone known as glucagon, not to be confused with glycogen, which comes out of carbohydrate storage, but glucagon, are involved in initiating lipolysis. However, insulin stops the process dead in its tracks. So I want you to take away one really important message from this video, and it's that if you want to manage your fat, if you want to reduce your fat, you want to reduce your weight, you're going to have to manage your insulin if you're ever to cut through that fat storage. Now, carbohydrates are what increase insulin. Similarly, if you eat too large a portion of protein, that can also trigger an insulin release. Now, there's a lot of confusion around that because when you eat protein in small portions, let's say 3 to 5 ounces per meal, depending on your body weight, it triggers glucagon, not glycogen. And a lot of people get confused because glucagon is one of the hormones that can help burn fat. So when we have a sensible portion of protein, it can block an insulin release via glucagon, but when we overdo the portion size, it will trigger an insulin release, and it ends up being stored as fat. Therefore, it's no coincidence that the information on this channel and the dietary adjustments made are all about how we manage the insulin release, indirectly. Growth hormone can be increased if we get the right level of sleep and if we haven't eaten for a while. So we touch upon getting the right level of sleep in multiple videos on this channel, and we touch upon getting a human growth hormone release during intermittent fasting. Now, to complicate matters, if we've been stressed for too long or eat a very high sugar, high carbohydrate diet for too long, the cells in the body become what's often referred to as insulin resistant. And that means the body has to produce ever-increasing levels of insulin for the same action. So, worded differently, carbs have a magnified effect on producing insulin when we're insulin resistant, and they make fat burning very, very hard. We cover insulin resistance on a specific video on this channel, so please look that one up. Note also that carbs are not all the same. And throughout this channel, we'll refer to good carbs and bad carbs. For example, if you have leafy green vegetables and salads, they have very little impact on your insulin and are beneficial because of the nutritional content, whereas sugar has no real nutritional value to us and is very damaging, and it spikes the blood sugar very, very quickly. So we'll term that one a bad carb. Similarly, water will not spike the blood sugar, but fruit juices, for example, and soft drinks along with beer and other alcoholic beverages will. So part of understanding fat burning is looking for the hidden sugars, the hidden carbs in food and drink. Now, exercise is beneficial to reversing insulin resistance because the muscles and liver are the main stores of glycogen, glycogen being the sugar stored from carbohydrates. So when we exercise, we effectively empty the fuel tanks in the muscles first and then the liver second. So exercise makes us more sensitive to insulin because the muscles are signaling they want topping up, as is the liver. So exercise can make us more sensitive to insulin, which is beneficial if you're in a state of insulin resistance. Now, please review all of the videos on this channel at your own speed, because they'll touch upon this area in greater detail. And plus, if you've learned something, please give a thumbs up today and hit the update button. Now, if you're confused on any areas, feel free to send us a comment and we'll try and cover that in future videos. Until then, thank you for visiting.